Yeah.
So let's talk about understanding more about the trauma, like what you wanted to talk about and the impacts on, we're talking about the behavior and we're kind of talking a little bit more about relationships. Um,
Yeah.
but let's touch a little bit more first on behaviors because,
Mm.
I think I told you before I don't know if it was before we started the recording, but I rewrote the women's workshop that I'm doing. And one of the things
Mhm.
that I found to be important, I did the same thing with the workshop that I'm doing with the podcast. And that is I kind of go back in 25, 30 years ago and think, what did I need? What did I need at that moment to help
Mm.
me get on my healing journey? And I go back
Mm.
to what we were mentioning a little earlier is about our behaviors. And I want to
Yeah.
emphasize this a little bit because it is a big deal. It was a big deal for me. And I think it's a big deal for a lot of people. And it really creates the shame in us, which shuts down our voice. And, and in the workshop, I'm bringing up, and this is kind of crazy, all the behaviors that happen with a certain topic.
Yeah.
For instance, with shame, or
Mhm.
with I'm trying to think real quick off the top of my head. um, Shame, and there's anyway, I can't think of any right now, but I'm listing out all the behaviors that happen within that topic that are
Yeah.
are bad behaviors.
Mhm.
In all the subjects that I picked, I had almost every single behavior,
Mm.
and I
Mhm.
cannot tell you what that did to my mind when I used before I realized that it was from the trauma. Because here's what would happen: I would probably get triggered. A behavior
Mm.
would come out that comes from that trigger that's not healthy. Because when I'm triggered, I'm going back and I'm reliving that moment. So I'm doing the behavior
Mm.
that happened back then that worked then.
Mm.
The person that's standing across from me has no idea what's going on within me, but they see
Mm.
this, what I related to as crazy behavior. It's not crazy behavior, but it's triggered behavior. But to them, it's over the top. The behavior is over the top compared to what the situation is. And then that person's looking at me like, what's going on? Which then spirals me out,
Mm.
which then takes me to a place of when it finally settles down, and it never settled down well, not for me. Then I would spend how many days beating myself up over that behavior. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah. Yeah.
Hope I didn't trigger anybody, but that's literally, and that is so hard, especially when you don't understand that behavior you just did, you were just triggered. When you don't understand that, when you understand it, when you learn about it, then you're empowered and you can manage it, right?